WSTU does not endorse products that may be mentioned. Any reproduction or retransmission of this broadcast is strictly prohibited without written consent of WSTU. It's time to call in with your questions and comments at 220-9788, 220 WSTU. And now, here's Casey Ingram.
Good morning, County Treasure Coast. We have another beautiful day here in the Treasure Coast. Stuart, sunny and just wonderful. Actually, humidity's down a lot, so it's really getting really nice to be outside. So in the studio today, we have Dr. Millay. He has been the new superintendent of Martin County School District for almost a year now.
It's getting closer.
So
Yeah,
it
it's
is
exciting.
almost
I
a
came
year.
on the scene about this time last year.
You did.
Transitioning, and I officially started in November.
So here you are. We'll talk a lot about what's happened here in the last year, this hour. Before I do, I have to thank my sponsors. So let's talk a little bit about them. First of all, commercial mortgage, forbearances, working remotely, internet shopping, retail space, and rental income have been hit hard by COVID. If you're looking to restructure your debt, obtain financing or equity, Commercial Mortgage can help you out. Tim Mullen at Commercial Mortgage has been providing debt restructuring services since 2003. Tim never charges a front fee and all consultations are free. Tim only gets paid if he provides you a debt workout. Looking for a debt solution or financing? Give Tim a call at 772-872-6099 or visit commercialmortgagellc.com to schedule your free consultation. Also have got to give a shout out to Indiantown Marina. Indiantown Marina is one of South Florida's best boat storage facilities. They're located inland on the Okeechobee Waterway, very well protected hurricane hull, as we've always discussed here in the past. And they're home to many in the cruising community who find their facility ideally situated and user-friendly. They have a do-it-yourself and full-service boat yard. You can work on electrical, mechanical, prop, shaft work, bottom painting, and so much more. Give them a call at 772-631-3272. Again, that's 772-631-3272 to reach out to the beautiful Indiantown Marina. And also, Fish House Art Center. If you folks have not visited the Fish House Art Center, there's so much out there and so much going on. It's just one of the cutest establishments in Port Salerno. Actually, they say they're the best kept secret in Martin County. Come by boat, car, or stroll the boardwalk to explore what the best kept secret has to offer. Our boardwalk features local artists, an Airbnb, art gallery, boat charters, marina, and the Craft and Creamery. Craft beers, wine, and 24 flavors of ice cream. Bike rentals, sales, and accessories are available at Kraken Bikes and Boards. And if you're more of a beach person and need some accessories or a new paddleboard, Liquid Aloha has you covered for the water with sales, accessories, and paddleboard rentals. They also have something for you to take home like refurbished furniture, personalized monogram cutting boards, and much more. All of this is at the Fish House Art Center. You can reach the Fish House Art Center at 772-221-5482. Look them up online, thefishhouseartcenter.com. And they also have a marina there that you can dock at. And folks, Dr. Millay, Halloween's coming up. Do you know that they have ghost tours going on out there?
Oh, nice.
Yes, every Saturday night at the Fish House Art Center, and you can call 221-5482. We have our very own ghost tours right here in Port Salerno at the Fish House Art Center.
Love it. Always something great going on.
Oh, there is, and so much fun. So it's kind of like a one-stop shop out there for a lot of different things. So again, Dr. Millay, there are so many things that have happened, and you kind of took over the helm here at Martin County School District right in the midst of COVID. So I guess maybe that's where we'll start out here with the show, as you can give us an update of how things are going this school year. I know that masks are not required. They're optional.
Correct.
And how has that worked out for y'all?
Well, I have to say, all things considered, we've had a great past year in Martin County. We've had a great start to the school year, and I really thank our hardworking teaching staff, support staff, all those staff members that are working behind the scenes, whether they're driving a bus or food service, paraprofessionals, secretaries, you name it. Every employee, they've been flexible. Our parents have been flexible, and we're getting through this. So, we're not out of the woods yet, but I think we all know things have progressed a lot better. Our quarantine numbers are down. Our positive cases are down single digits daily. So, the outlook's good. Now it's kind of this new normal we're trying to figure out with staffing shortages that the whole country and Florida's facing. So some of those barriers that we're dealing with, and that's just some of the few things, but we're off to a really positive start. We truly are. And it's some normal times have been good.
It is. And, personally myself, as far as with the mask, I know that was a really heated issue because all of a sudden there was a COVID spike at the beginning of the school year. And, Martin County followed the governor's orders and said no mask for the students optional. And lo and behold, the numbers came down anyway, which was wonderful. And for the kids, I mean, I have a daughter in 7th grade, and, it's so tough for them to wear a mask all day.
Sure, it's the school district followed the Martin. We had an opening plan that the Martin County School Board approved, and we stuck to that plan. Majority of the board chose that direction, and we followed that, and I had good results with it. Of course, there were cases of in quarantine and positive cases, but that was everywhere. That
Of
wasn't
course.
unique, and we did have lower numbers
That's right.
overall comparative. So. I just again thank our parents for trying to help. Our staff that kept things clean. We did the mitigation strategies. We're still trying to keep things clean. We're mindful of social distancing when we can. Parents, based on the governor's order, the law,
Right.
they have the right to choose. Florida has a
Right.
lot of choices, so that's one of the rights. That's not just a Martin County rule. That's what we try to follow from the state. So.
Again, we're speaking with Dr. Millay. He's the superintendent of the Martin County School District. And if you have a question or comment for Dr. Millay, you can call into the studio at 772-220-9788. That's 220-WSTU. And I'm also watching Facebook Live for comments and questions there, and we'll pass them on to Dr. Millay. So another thing that we've seen a lot this year, Dr. Millay, and we're going to talk about and maybe we should start there and then talk about some of the other shortages, is the employment. Right now, there is not an industry that is not struggling with finding employees, and the school district is no different. Can you, Iggy, you have a visual of some of the openings that they're looking for. Can you kind of
Sure,
talk about that?
I'm accurately saying it's not just a Martin County problem. It's a regional, it's a Florida issue, it's a national issue.
Yes.
Although when we're talking about shortages in services or lack thereof at times, it hits closest at home. When you start
Right.
feeling at the home, you start feeling at the school. We understand, and we want our listeners to know in our community that our board understands these issues. Just like throughout COVID, they've stayed abreast. They do some of their own research. They listen to the community, so they're well aware of the current issues. We know there's some areas that we're going to continue to work on to be competitive financially with neighboring districts as best we can. The grass isn't always greener. We're learning with every employer. Right now, what's happening, I think, throughout the economy locally and regionally is there's a domino effect. People move from one place to another
Right.
because of options, maybe a little bonus, maybe it makes it easier for their family. So we know that happens. But some of the major areas that we're facing in conjunction with other districts out Florida, bus drivers. We still have about 4 main routes that we're trying to fill. Sometimes we've had those filled, and then maybe someone went out for COVID leave, or you have a workman's comp issue, or somebody moves, or they take a new job, they go somewhere else.
Now,
We
Dr.
need
Millay,
substi-
a bus driver needs a special license as well,
Sure.
correct?
They need the CDL plus. There's a bus certificate. Basically, it's more of a bus operator CDL, but we can train. If someone out there has a CDL, that would put them right up higher on the list with a little training, and could offer that to them. We could get them driving a bus, and all of our positions. If you work full time, they have benefits, health insurance. So there's a lot of perks. But that the bus driver issue, that's one. We're facing it in a smaller number than some throughout the state, but it's when you have to maybe pull back routes, or you can't cover something, that's real. And I shout out to all of our transportation staff and parents where we've had to make some slight adjustments lately.
Right.
We have to call and text early if we can't run a route.
Okay.
It's only been a few, but we let parents know early. We've told people over the weekend, try to always have a backup plan for your child with a neighbor. That way, if you get that text, that call early that a bus maybe not coming on their normal time, they maybe have to do a second loop. If the parents could get their child to school, we will always try our best to run that second time if we're running behind. So, but that's been an area. Paraprofessionals like teachers assistants, those natures. We have about 25 or so, and these are averages that throughout the districts. We're still looking for custodians. We have about 15 to 16 of those openings. Food nutrition services. So there's a lot of eateries in Martin County.
There sure
We
are.
all need people to work in food service. So working in the school these jobs have a special bonus, I think, of working with kids in good environments. But
Of
we're all
course.
competing for good workers. There's not enough great people to go around. We're all trying to be efficient and as competitive as we can. Again, our board's aware of some of these issues and trying to make some improvements.
Let's talk a little bit too with your school bus operators. You had a presentation last night that you spoke just about these employment shortages. School bus operators, 1671 to 1920 an hour. And that's the pay there. Now, do you have a like a substitute list like you do for teachers where somebody that doesn't want to work full time can just be on call?
Absolutely. And just kind of the dynamic of where we've had some of these issues for years. They've just, I mean, I think even the business communities realized that, there's been some labor shortages for
Right.
years. They've been common with COVID. You had a record number of people that retired that could, maybe
Right.
they were hanging around an extra year. So there's a chunk that left that way. Whereas currently we have 4 regular routes that are open, but typically we also have 5 additional, say, full-time sub bus drivers.
Okay.
And that would be someone we guarantee them work every day. They come in when everybody else does. So typically, that's about 9 people that we're short of. So we're blessed that everybody that can drive a bus that's at our bus compound and at the warehouse, they people are jumping in, driving, taking care of, but that sometimes causes issues because they've got some of their own work they have to do. So it, we're just trying to kind of manage through this together.
Right.
So, we're about 10 or less that we need. So it's just sometimes you can start the training process and the job market's so competitive. You have places like Amazon and
Oh, there's so many.
you name it, Uber, just how people have
Right.
options today.
DoorDash. I mean, all kinds of
DoorDash, so
things.
those types of things. So we're just trying to kind of settle into that new normal and
And it might be, a
attract.
chance for somebody that's needs to pick up a new skill, and you're displaced from a different job. And you said there's training too. You obviously, if you can start
We'll
up the first
train,
day,
we'll get
that's
them
great.
going.
But
And, say it was somebody they could only do a morning route. They could only do an afternoon route. Maybe it's someone that's in college or someone that wants a little extra income because the routes are early and in the afternoon. So we can be flexible. But I do want to thank the drivers that we have.
right,
They're
right.
going above and beyond. They work hard and they care. We need more of that.
What about school bus assistants? It's 1288 to 1489 an hour. What do they do?
Sure, that would be those situations where maybe we have younger kids on the bus or a child that may have they may not a special need that they're not on a special transportation, but they can be on the regular bus too. And
Okay.
even if it is special transportation, it would be an extra pair of hands on that
Okay.
bus.
Okay.
So another pair of eyes that are helping
And that
hands.
doesn't need any special training. Just
We
through
train
the
them in
interview.
just some, how we work with kids and confidentiality and safety and some of the
Of
bloodborne
course.
pathogens, but those types of things. But no, there's not necessarily like a CDL or anything.
that goes along with that.
Sometimes over the years we have those types of employees that they learn that, then they want to get their CDL.
Okay.
And you kind of move up. So, but we need bus drivers, assistants,
Mechanics.
mechanics
Up to 38,000 a year.
Yes, and some of those areas. Again, we also offer health insurance and state retirement system, and that's not something that people right now. When you're trying to get in, making ends meet, you're raising a family. If you're a single mom, a single dad, they need to make their income now, and they're not
Right.
always thinking. What about retirement? It seems 20, 30, 40 years away, but it happens. And
It sure does.
that's something to be thinking about. And that's a benefit.
It's a good benefit.
And we want to continue to try to be as competitive in our wages, but there's lots more to offer than just the
the
wage.
wages. You gotta definitely check into the benefits, insurance, and all that. It all adds up if you have to pay for it yourself.
I would
So,
even hire, if we had mechanics out there that would like, and ours is a more specialty. We have we call our white fleet, some of the vans and the cars and trucks that people use, but we
Right.
have, when you're talking about the buses, it's diesel mechanics. So it's kind of a little bit more of a specialty.
right.
But if there are mechanics out there that are listening and they wanted to work possibly one day or, on a part-time basis here and there, we could probably, our ideal is full-time employment. But we also, if there's little niches here and there that could help, we may be able to be flexible and make something work. We're flexible.
A couple days a week is great. Whatever right
If
now,
we could,
employment is
whatever we want to make sure our services keep running. And as we kind of navigate back to a new normal,
Right.
we may have to look differently for a while.
That's right. It's changed the face of all industries for
Yes,
certain. Food service workers up to 14 an hour.
sure. And we're the largest food operation in the county. Thousands and thousands of
How many
meals.
students are in
Well,
the district now?
approximately 18,000.
Right.
And then when you look at what they're preparing,
Teachers as well?
plus you got employees, you're talking about 2,500 or more employees, so you're talking about 20,000 people that could conceivably eat. And our students get free. There's a national school lunch program, and there's a federal grant where all students, last year and this year through the end of the year, eat free breakfast and free lunch. So
Wow.
regardless of income, every student, every one of those 18,000 can have a free breakfast and a free lunch. So you can imagine the amount of meals each day that we prepare for, and little snacks. And there's even some of our Title I schools, they offer supper programs. So a third that they can come
Wow.
back and get a meal.
Wow.
Yes. So when you think about that operation, it's a
You
one
could be
large
looking at around
restaurant.
50,000 meals a day.
It conceivably up there could
It
be,
could
but
be, you're right.
it's a large number. So, and that there's issues now even on some food shortages. We've had our parents have been great. I'm grateful for what they've been. They've been flexible because we've had to change the menus a few
Yes.
times. Sometimes we have to change a bus route. Though these things are being caused by kind of a national phenomenon that it's going around. Some of us COVID related, of course, but then there's just labor market shortages, and there's been different peak numbers of retirements. People move, they come and go, and more people have options. They
They
truly do.
do. They do. And the supply chain disruption, I think, is a lot of it. It surprised me. I think it was about 4 to 6 weeks ago when Martin County School District put on their Facebook page, we may not be able to serve the menu that we told you that was going to, the food that was on the menu because of these food shortages. You don't know to the last minute. And my goodness, we've seen that now in the grocery stores. I'll go there and it's just weird things all of a sudden that aren't available.
That's right. But there's always been something. So there could be a time where you have an offering a couple times in the same week,
Right.
But the important thing is, we're going to make sure they have a wholesome, nutritious meal.
Right.
And it's not
Just might
always
be a
going to
little
be
different.
exactly what we've been used to. But I have to shout out to them. They've ran the course about 95%. They
Okay.
really are doing it. And those workers we need, that the food service workers do everything from prepare the food, clean, serve,
Wow.
order,
Wow.
prepare. So it's a nice, if some work in fast food, it's a little different environment because you're preparing more of a meal. You get to be around kids and see that finished product. And
Weekends off, no evenings, holidays off, summers
Right.
off.
Right. Well,
So-
and I can think back at different times in my life where, and I know there's so many people right now, they're working a second job or maybe
Right.
a third, that I hope they don't forget, because they could work for us, like you said, they could work in the school district,
Right.
and when their kids are at school, that kind of takes care of the child care. They could be working there. And then if they did need to do that second job, you kind of have the evening open, the weekend.
right.
So we could be a kind of a nice, stable first choice. And then you're paying into retirement or 401k
Right.
with some state matching, local district matching as well. And then you're going to have health insurance options.
Others, maintenance staff, AC mechanics up to 40,000, plumbers and utility workers. Plumbers up to 40,000, utility workers up to 33,000. I mean, you really have a lot of job openings.
Yeah, those skilled trades. What's compounding that right now through COVID, a lot of buildings slowed down. Florida kept going for the most part, but it did slow down quite a bit. But across the nation, it really slowed.
has.
And now
It has.
people are starting to build more. Well, I was at the Chamber of Commerce this morning, a board of directors meeting, and you hear all the different businesses. And I was listening to one business owner that does remodeling, and they had said like windows could be 30 to 40 weeks out right now.
Jeez.
So that's just one statistic. People that are out there know better than I do, but those skilled trades, it's very competitive. And sometimes you could be hiring someone in, and right when you're about to do it, their same employer offers them another dollar or two, or somebody else.
Right.
And we understand that, we spend a lot of time almost getting there, and then
the rug gets pulled out from under you
yeah,
at
it
the
can
last
happen.
minute.
But businesses know that too.
They
We're all
do.
in it together, and I think over this coming year, we're just all going to have to commit to trying to be flexible with each other, have patience with each other.
Dr. Millay, absolutely. Again, we're speaking with Dr. Millay with the Martin County Superintendent. He is the Martin County Superintendent of Schools. And if you have a question for Dr. Millay, 220-9788, 220-WSTU. And I'm also watching the Facebook live feed for comments or questions, but we're covering a lot of areas here. The last, we're just talking about right now, the employment, which, affects every industry right now. Everybody has heard that businesses, they may have to close early. I mean, I've been to a Dairy Queen, for example, went there for an ice cream sundae and it was closed because they had no workers. And it was on a Saturday. I couldn't believe it. But these things are happening. And you just mentioned windows. A short story here. My sister is a school teacher up in Michigan, has a cabin up north, and they're remodeling. And can they get windows? No, she said. It was and it was just about 6 months before. And then they came in and they were the wrong size. So they
What do
said
you do?
they're changing their size of their windows.
Yeah.
They're not waiting for new ones to come in.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
But
That's
and then
true.
getting somebody to install them is another headache. So they actually bring people in from her hometown about 3.5 hours south up to get the work done.
Well,
So it's
another
all
great
over.
kind of a positive, another positive thing that we have going on, a lot of great energy. We're constructing 2 brand new schools. Palm City's getting that much needed replacement.
Wonderful.
Elementary, so we're excited about that. Jensen Beach Elementary, we've got the 2 new schools
So neat.
are going to look pretty similar. The good news is they're replacement schools, so we're basically building them behind the other ones effectively.
Okay.
So when the new school is done, we can move them over, and then we'll tear the old school down.
Okay.
But the things are going pretty smoothly. But there's a shortage of workers.
Right.
There's a shortage of materials, so those projects could get delayed somewhat. Right now they're moving. Palm City, the wall, there's 12-foot walls. So the whole
Nice.
outside perimeter, the first floor the walls are about there. At Jensen, we had there's a little more sand up there, that area, Jensen Beach area.
Yes.
So that project, same type of design basically, but it's a little different schedule because they had to do more groundwork. They had to make wider footers. They had to box in more concrete. So it just took long. We had some demo work there we had to do to the site, and then there was more concrete work. But that school's moving along. It's coming out of the ground. Concrete's being poured. So there's exciting times.
That is very exciting. And I know parents are excited to hear that as well. Obviously, this can change, but what are the projected dates for completion with these schools?
It could be next Christmas, the
wonderful.
22-23 school year. It'll be a gift whenever it opens. Again,
Right.
The good thing is if you just kind of imagine you're building a house behind your current house.
Yes.
When it's done, you don't have to be in that rush. There's
so
some maintenance
fortunate.
issues that we're getting through with our older buildings, but it's like you can see that building going up and
The lights at the end of the tunnel.
That's right. So whenever the building is going, it's not like we're adding on to the building or inconvenienced. The campus is a little crowded with the construction going on, but that's a good thing. So, if it takes a little bit longer, those parents have waited a decade on some of these, and I'm happy that schools are being built.
And I'm thinking, fortunately, there is enough property that you are able to build a new school and still use the old one in the process. So
yeah, the residents of Martin County, they love their community schools.
Yes.
That's how they were.
That's right.
They're big on community schools, and ideally, you would love to have some of these spots with a little more green space, but there's some sacrifice. But the parents,
Yes.
it's great when you can see outside of a school building 50 or 60 bikes where some of the kids ride to school, and
Right.
they have a little caged area, and parents walk their kids. They're just used to that. So that was more of a benefit than saying going outside and having families travel. Sometimes we have to do that, but Martin County School Board has tried to listen to the families and make the best.
Dr. Millay, you say that, and it reminds me, just this past week, I was driving by Bessie Creek Elementary when they were letting the children out. And growing up in Michigan, you did not see this, but there was parents coming on their bikes to pick up their children. There were parents walking, and there were parents on golf carts coming to pick up their children.
They do.
It's wonderful. It's like this is just truly a wonderful community that you can
And
have
right
all these
now, and
modes.
I'll give a shout out, kind of take a little tangent here, but it takes a whole community to make everything work. It's our school
Sure
board,
does.
it's our families, it's our students, but the sheriff's department and the local city police, they're always great to work with. And like bus safety, the sheriff with the cross guards, we've had a shortage of there.
I was going to ask you about that, how that's
There
working
is,
out.
but I want the public to know the sheriff is doing, in our district, they're doing all they can. They're challenged with that labor market too, but we have met. We're trying some strategies even where we can, maybe some of our employees that get there early, they could come early and work for them for an hour.
Right.
So we're trying that. I've heard we have a few might be taken up on that, but I want the community to know that that's just one piece of the puzzle. and have a little patience because everybody's either walking in, they're driving in, and they kind of come with it. Even if it's within the same 20 minutes, that's a lot of
It
cars.
is.
And if try to be patient with each other. I really think this too shall pass. I think there will be a
Mhm.
time that we'll kind of edge out of this, but they're doing what they can. I know we're doing all we can. We're trying to work together. So just kind of keeping that patience. And there are crosswalks, where you push the
There
button and you
are.
go. Yeah, some that's a little slower, but the issue sometimes the cars getting kind of backed up and coming and going. So parents just keep being flexible.
Well, I think you said something very important, and that is be patient. The crossing guards, I believe they actually work for the sheriff department, not
They
the
sure do.
school, and I think they're looking around 15 an hour, so of course they need them. But St. Lucie County unfortunately lost a little girl who the bus was picking her up just a couple weeks ago. It was terrible, and somebody was in a
Tragic.
rush or texting whatever it was, and passed the bus, and
Well,
the little girl
everybody
didn't
right
make it.
now,
Just
parents are
patience.
busy, and families look a little different. We have a lot of single parents, and they're all doing the best they can, and we're all kind of rushing right now.
Yeah.
Everybody needs their money. They're trying to make a living. We start late. We go to bed late. We get up early. We're trying to cram in. Some of the families work multiple jobs, so
Right.
we rush. But sometimes we do have to slow down, especially around
Yes,
schools,
that's right.
and have that little cup of coffee, that little quiet time where you just kind of have to patiently wait through some of these points because we do not want anybody to get hurt. And
That's
I
right.
know our school resource officers, our safety department, the sheriff, I know that's their number one concern. They really care, and they're trying to fix the problem. So if everyone will just kind of keep being
That's right.
patient, we'll get through it.
We will. We certainly will. The last job offering that you spoke about last night was paraprofessionals, and that's up to almost 19,000 annually. So,
And on that, that would be a lot like more like a teacher's assistant.
okay,
And some of that we wish and we want to be more competitive because we couldn't do what we do without everybody. Everybody that we've talked about, our teachers, of course, they're one of the most critical pieces. That's over half of our
right.
workforce. And we still have about 20 teacher vacancies across the district. Now we have about 25 schools when you take in the elementary, middle, and high, and you take in some of our preschool support and the alternative schools. You're talking about 25 plus sites.
Okay,
So 20 teachers is we need them, but that averages out. Not that it does,
right.
but it averages about one per. But if anybody's out there that teachers a specialized field. So if you're not certified, we can get you certified, but
Right.
there may be some stay-at-home parents, a mom or dad that wants to try a different career. So if you have a bachelor's degree in a different area, you can call the Martin County Schools. Reach out to me. You can always email me, and if I don't have the answer, I'm going to connect you to who can help you with that. But if anyone has a degree, we can uh, start you in a program, get you started pretty quick with one of our local colleges, and you kind of have a year. Each year, you have to take a certain amount to show you're making progress. But there's a lot of people that are working for us that are on an alternative program that with a little extra time, and when we have
Right.
time, we're not going
That's right.
anywhere. Schools are sacred and they're timeless, so we'll train them.
That's
And
right.
so I hope some people that moms or dads that are listening or uh, want to come
Think
back and
about
help
it.
and substitute. We need more
Right.
substitutes.
Now, do you cover the cost of the education for the teachers that need to be certified?
We don't cover the cost, but here's what is out there. There are a lot of federal grants, maybe some state grants, in some of the critical shortage areas. There are some scholarships and programs that the colleges can connect them with. For instance, like special education, there's always been a lot of federal assistance to go into
Okay.
critical shortage areas. There's some of our schools, it's called Title One, based on the poverty level. Uh, uh, there's programs that if people work in a poverty school, there's some federal programs that can help pay off
Okay.
student loans.
Okay.
So there are avenues, but the process doesn't have to be fast. You just have to get an alternative program in place
Okay.
and make progress toward it. So if somebody's truly wanting to try it, we can make it happen.
Very, very neat. And if you have the bachelor's degree already, you're a lot of the way there.
You're right there. For instance, they're just an example, like say someone out there has a marketing degree. Well, we have marketing courses or business courses at the
Right.
high school. There's ways that we work with the Department of Education to kind of bridge what they have, find out
Right.
what they have and what they need. Well, they're going to bring us a lot of practical experience. They're going to need some help in management and some of the scope and sequence because in Florida, in Mark County in particular, we follow the state standards, and we're making sure we follow state curriculum, and so we can make sure they know what they're going to have to teach, and then we're going to help them with how.
Amy Pritchard, thank you for tuning in. She says, "Thank you, Dr. Millay, for being who you are. Your dedication to the students is very apparent."
Oh, thank you.
So I'm going to give you a break here for a minute and just cover my sponsors. You've been so wonderful here, giving us so much information. But when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about the school improvement planning. And you talked a little bit already about the elementary schools, but we'll see what else is going on, and also where Martin County School District is on the critical race theory that
Sure.
has really
Look forward to talking
went
about
around the
that.
country.
Sure.
Everybody's talking about it. So in the meantime, if you're looking for something to do that's really fun this Christmas season, the Martin County Fair is having the Carnival of Lights. So first, they're looking for sponsors as low as $100, and you can go out there and have your banner and a Christmas tree out there for your company, and they have sponsors that go up from there. But the Carnival of Lights, it has music, crafts, food, rides, the Railroad Model Club, and so much more. That's going to start November 26th every weekend until Christmas. So it'll be 5:30 to 9 p.m. every weekend starting November 26th. And admission is just $5. 12 and under is free. So if you want some more information on that, give Jay Spicer a call, 772-220-3247, or check it out at martincountyfair.com. Also want to do a huge shout out to the Fish House Art Center. We talked about it a little bit earlier, but it is the best kept secret in Martin County. Come by boat, car, or stroll the boardwalk to explore what the best kept secret has to offer. Our boardwalk features local artists, an Airbnb, art gallery, boat charters, marina, and the Craft and Creamery. Craft beers, wine, and 24 flavors of ice cream. Bike rentals, sales, and accessories are available at Kraken Bikes and Boards. If you are more of a beach person and need some accessories or a new paddleboard, Liquid Aloha has you covered for the water with sales, accessories, and paddleboard rentals. We also have something for you to take home, like refurbished furniture, personalized monogram cutting boards, and so much more, all found at the Fish House Art Center. You can find them in Port Salerno. Look them up online at thefishhouseartcenter.com or give them a call at 221-5482. And also want to remind everybody they are sponsoring ghost tours every Saturday night at the Fish House Art Center. That sounds like so much fun with Halloween around the corner and the spooky sights and sounds in Port Salerno. So you can give them a call for the ghost tours at 772-221-5482, 221-5482. And finally, thank you to Commercial Mortgage. Forbearances, working remotely, internet shopping, retail space, and rental income have been hit hard by COVID. If you're looking to restructure your debt, obtain financing or equity, Commercial Mortgage can help you out. Tim Mullen at Commercial Mortgage has been providing debt restructuring services since 2003. Tim never charges a front fee, and all consultations are free. Tim only gets paid if he provides you a debt workout. Looking for a debt solution or financing? Give Tim a call at 772-872-6099 or visit commercialmortgagellc.com to schedule your free consultation. Okay, Dr. Millay, still with me? I'm glad you didn't run off. So
No, I'm here. I enjoy our conversation.
Oh, this is some wonderful
Probably need to do it more
information.
often, because sometimes the context, that's what helps people understand,
It truly does.
Few instances it is a yes or no or so easy. It's with kids, it's personal.
Yes.
It's grandparents, whoever's taking care of their kids. Different ones have stepped up to the plate now. We have aunts and uncles, and thank God there's people that step up and take care of kids. But
right.
The understanding is through context.
Yes.
And we're all running short of time, but we can sit down and talk and add a little clarity, a little understanding, listen. We find out we're a lot more similar than we are different.
It is so very true. And you can't make assumptions. And this way, you're right here. You're accessible right now. Folks, if you want to talk to Dr. Millay, you have a comment, I'm watching on Facebook, you can call into the studio, 220-9788, 220-WSTU. And, there's just so much that's been happening in the school district and so much to deal with the COVID fallout. And the district is a business like anything else, and everybody's been impacted.
Yes, we definitely are a business. We operate off the investment of our taxpayers, the good faith of the good people of Martin County. That I never forget that. Our board never forgets that. They like these beautiful buildings that we're building, and the salaries that pay our teachers. Those are and the staff. Those are investments in our tax dollar, and we want to take that seriously. I think. Just to add a little clarity, maybe out there to listeners, um, with Facebook, social media, Instagram, those are actually, there's so much positive about it. But we also know there could be negative about it.
Right.
And the reality is, I have to believe there's a lot more good. And if we can kind of come together and the right information's there, that can be positive. But I just want parents to know, if they ever have like an issue or they hear something going on in a school, it's like, oh my goodness, or what's happening, or I heard. Sometimes like rumors hurt everybody, and I want them to know, they don't ever have to wait for a board meeting if they're upset about something. They can call my office. Again, if they don't speak to me directly, I'm going to have somebody that can speak to them. They don't If they have a question, maybe before they go on social media, if they want to call and check, don't assume that we know. Don't
Right.
assume necessarily that I know. And just because something may have happened at a school, that may not be what we intended either.
Right.
When you have 25 or 2,600 employees, nearly 20,000 little variables, you're talking about kids.
Right.
Everybody can agree that's a challenge. And I know our teachers and our employees are doing overall. I think they're doing the best they can. No one sets out to make someone mad, but sometimes we live in sensitive times. People are more aware than ever, and social media things can be out there quick. And I get that. And so I know parents are going to post or have questions, but I just want them to know, don't forget to contact the school.
The old-fashioned way. Pick up the phone.
Check with the school principal, check with
Email.
me. And if they don't like what maybe the principal's telling them, I may not tell them different, but they may get a different, there may be more information that we can share with them. So reach out to the schools, shoot the email. I know a lot of people reach out to board members regularly. I speak to board members weekly, sometimes daily. I meet with the board chair, Marcia Powers. She's doing her second year as chair. They've all done a great job. They all are very connected. Everybody has differences of opinion. We're a broad community. We have a lot of different political thought everywhere. Everybody has their opinions, but our board members are connected to constituents. They understand businesses. They understand school. They bring different strengths to things. So if you have questions, you can reach out to them, but you can reach out to me anytime. You don't have to take it directly. They can always call a board member, but if I'll try to solve, if I can solve the problem, I can maybe solve it quicker. Because typically if a board member gets the issue, they call and they ask for information, and we're happy to send that. We're happy to call on their behalf, but parents can call our district office and first. They don't have you don't have to wait for 2 weeks or 3 weeks till the next meeting to let your voice be heard, because things can get blown out of proportion, and there was more to the story.
Dr. Millay, kudos to you to having that open door policy. I think that's so important, because when it comes to children, people are very passionate. They're our kids, right?
Absolutely. Your kids.
So,
I had 3 of them. They're grown, and I still worry about them. They're
You do.
19 and 22,
You do.
24, and I may worry about them more now than I did. But yeah, when it's your little one, it's personal. It's
It
the
is.
most personal, and that's probably the difference that we have to remember. Yes, we're a business to a degree, and yes, we operate with revenue, but our bottom line isn't always a balance sheet. It's kids' lives, and it's not always black and white.
Right.
It's gray,
Right.
and we're not building widgets or X things per hour.
That's right.
It's personal.
It's our most precious commodity, our children.
Parents are sending the very best they have. They send what they have.
That's
And
exactly
we
right.
have to educate all kids. All kids learn different. They grow at different paces. They all have different influences in their life, or lack thereof.
That's right.
Some things are very different than when we grew up. And I'm not saying that's all bad or good, because there's so many good things that are going on and happening with our families. We can easily sup down to, one thing I hate to hear sometimes is people say kids these days. That's relative, because
They always
they're
say that.
products of home, and
Right. They said that 50 years ago.
99% of what goes on in our schools every day, I see great things our kids are doing. I think overall, with social media, things can get out quicker than ever, but our kids are a little calmer and gentler with each other. Our schools are safe. We'll have an incident. We try to be here and there. If we have a safety issue, we're transparent. We work with law. But I mean, our kids and staff, they usually do what they're supposed to do every single day. With that many variables, we're going to have somebody that forgot, somebody that didn't,
Of
something that
course.
got misinterpreted,
Right.
and sometimes something wrong happens. So, while I always say we're trying to be excellent, some days we're not.
Right.
There's once in a while, I talked to a parent the other day, so we're trying to be excellent, but we weren't that day. We weren't on that, but we're trying to improve.
Nobody's perfect. And
No,
the fact that you have the open door policy and you're able to listen to people and want to listen to them,
yeah.
that to me is a huge battle. And you stop future problems or something from getting out of hand
Well, a
because you
good
didn't speak with
intention can
them.
go bad. You could
Can.
something started with the best of intention, maybe in a class, and then it kind of took a wrong turn.
Yep.
Everybody knows how that happens.
Speaking of social media, you can see Dr. Malay on the Casey Ingram Show the Casey Ingram Show Facebook page, and of course, you're listening on WSTU AM 1450. Tune in or Alexa. Dr. Malay, and speaking of social media, just about a week ago, there was 13 and 17-year-old that were threatening to shoot up Martin County High. We're not students there, but that was found out through social media. Some other kids, saw those
Yeah.
postings and turned them in, and they were able to stop anything from
That's
happening.
when I share it's social media is a double-edged sword. I have to it helps us, and then sometimes it challenges us, and it brings unneeded stress sometimes. But if we can get a tip, if it's about safety, if people can communicate, send us a direct message, that's good. So if we want to be safe, we're there to learn, but
Don't worry about being wrong in this instance. Safety is of utmost
absolutely.
importance.
And we work closely with our sheriff's department and the local city police, state police when we ever have to, those different agencies when things happen. And we try to be proactive. And Frank, our safety director, he works with all of our school resource officers throughout the school district. We have safety plans for every school. We have contingency plans on what we would do if there is an issue.
Okay.
So, yeah,
All
I
very
won't
important.
apologize if there's something, for too much information. Sometimes if we try to get things out, not to alarm, but we want parents to know and get ahead of the story sometimes.
Absolutely. Let's move on here to the critical race theory. And before I go into that with you, this is something that's going on across the nation. And I'm going to read two different definitions of critical race theory, and you can see why it's one of these issues that can be a hot potato. Information Age Education News out of Texas is a division of Education News, the oldest internet resource for teachers and school officials. They say critical race theory is the flawed theory which claims all long-time or established American institutions, whether they be political, legal, or education, are inherently racist and are biased against Black Americans. Promotes the unproven argument that America has not progressed from the allegedly embedded racism in these institutions, despite history proving the theory and its supporters wrong. Go to Wikipedia, and they say critical race theory is a body of legal scholarship and an academic movement of the U.S. civil rights scholars and activists who seek to critically examine the intersection of race and U.S. law and to challenge mainstream American liberal approaches to racial justice. So, critical race theory. How is Martin County School District handling this?
Yeah, there's a lot of information out there. And what I guess what I want our families to know, our parents to know, everyone has different politics. Everyone has different religious points of view. They have different personal points of view. Martin County Schools, we follow the state standards. So when we talk about what those are in reading and math, they're called the BEST standards. That's the acronym. We follow what's approved. The Martin County Board of Education adopts and approves materials that are allowable by the Department of Education. So that typically anything like that, there's so many words that could be potentially in both that sometimes people can get a little hypersensitive. Something can happen, and it comes. It can kind of come out, but that's not in our schools. That's not what our board is very sensitive and listens to our families, and that's not a. Sometimes there could be misinformation. For instance, there could be an instance where something maybe came up in a conversation in a classroom that maybe wasn't intended to go where as needed.
Right.
But parents could be sensitive. So we just want to make sure if someone hears something, if they learn of something, if we find out whether it was an accident or they just didn't understand something that got said, we correct things. So, we try to make sure teachers our staff is following, the curriculum that we're supposed to follow. So we work with a lot of vendors, and they're from time to time, just a simple, if I can kind of portray this over the air, but Once in a while, there could be lessons that are approved by the Martin County Board of Education. We work with a vendor company. So say there was a bank of things where there may be 20 items. Sometimes a third party vendor, they try to keep things fresh. They may add something that we didn't know,
Right.
and then it gets in there, and then someone says, "Oh my goodness, look what's there." Well, it may not be the end all there, but there could be something that we really didn't know. Now, what do we do when that happens? If a parent calls or we find out that happens, we immediately go to that vendor and say, "What's going on here?"
Okay.
We ask that it be taken out because we want to make sure everything's approved. And then we ask them, please do not add something. Sometimes they're just updating their services, they're updating their menus, but we have like an agreement of what we wanted. And they may just naturally just put something in there that's nationally relevant.
Right.
And we say, please notify us and confirm before anything is added. So we do try to correct. Once in a while, there could be something that's controversial, and everything kind of is,
Right.
can be. But
Sure
I
can.
want the families and the communities to know that we don't sit out with any agenda that's there. That's more of what you read is more of a collegiate thought. That's more of that's more of what you might see at colleges, and that's up for everyone's to have their own opinion. We make sure that we just teach history like as it is adopted by our textbook companies with the Department of Education, and we try to get we just want a lot of the opinion out of it and make sure our kids know our
Right.
our
Right.
history, which um, there's a lot of controversy that's out there.
There is. Do you have parent groups that go through and look at the various textbooks that are offered?
Oh, sure.
Review them?
I know that happens. And, we have, uh, that's a good thing because, when our board adopts a textbook, that's usually a year-long process. When we did our reading series, we do math series. And sometimes, though, in this age of digitization,
Right.
like a lot of our teacher materials, they can get a hard copy, but just imagine you can get the e-copy, right?
Right.
Well, sometimes a publisher can just update something. They find a typo, they find a little error, they find a better way to do a skill sheet, and they'll make a tweak that maybe not be in the book. So once in a while, if we find out there's something in there that wasn't in what we originally adopted, it doesn't happen too much. We don't want it to happen at all. But if we do find out something that got electronically updated that wasn't in what our original purchase was,
Right.
we go to the source, we stop it, we make sure that they contact us. And some of these companies, they grow fast, they get a lot of customers all at once. But I know parents watch, and they do. And we have parents that come and speak at board meetings, and the public's always welcome to come to board meetings. And when we hear questions, sometimes it's the first time I might be hearing it on something, but I make note, and sometimes we reach back out and we answer if we can their questions and concern. But I want everyone to know, you don't have to. You're always welcome to come to board meetings and speak. But if something's really bothering you, or there's a particular burning, something you thought happened in a classroom or school, call us. And there's things that could have happened in the past, maybe months ago or something, that we resolved it. Maybe we wish it didn't happen quite the way it
Right.
did, but we can't change what's happened.
Right.
I always say this. I always say we do the next right thing right now. If something's out of my control or not sure what happened, well, I try to control what's next. What do we need to make sure we do?
Donna, thank you for tuning in. She's made a comment. My daughter does not have a math teacher, and speaking of best standards, she said, let's spend money on Math Wizard. The kids are struggling with math.
Yeah, all of our it's most personal at home. Like I said, it could be a state shortage, it could be a national shortage, but when it impacts your kids, I totally understand that. And just like we have a shortage of substitute teachers throughout a child's education, K through 12. Just imagine if everybody's just out randomly, that's a lot of time lost. And
Right.
we need to make sure the teaching profession is respected. And then publicly, we were trying to raise the starting salaries to make more people go into it. For so many years, the pay was across the nation, across the state, was perceived to be low. So there has been effort to raise that. So hopefully we can keep attracting more people. We're doing all we can to that mom that's talking
The math.
We take that very seriously, and if we can, as soon as we can get someone in there, if whatever, I'm not exactly sure which school she has, but
Right.
I know there's efforts every day we're trying to certify people to get classes covered. And when we can't get a sub, we do cover the class. We may have to combine something for a while, or like if a teacher has a planning periods, they can be compensated, or they cover classes when they're not teaching, that type of thing. So administrators, for the first 2 months of schools, we had a lot of absenteeism, still do. And our staff, we send them out to the schools to cover a substitute. So, they leave a body of work at their desk, they go sub, come back. We do that. So we're working hard to address those needs. I've talked with the community college, well, not the community college, our RSC college local Chastain
Right.
president this morning, about how ways we can keep working together to collaborate and fill some of our needs. So we hear you. We're trying to take steps, but it's everywhere right now.
It's super tough. And I know before, and even before COVID had hit, you were, not you because you weren't here, but the district was having to use maybe an English teacher for math just to try and have somebody be able to teach the subject. And there's always a struggle.
It doesn't happen as often, but from time to time, we have to get the class covered. And that's just not a Martin County thing. Charter schools, private schools, they all have shortages of teachers, or they have emergency certified teachers. There's not a school that's in our district, even outside of the traditional public school. Again, charters, privates, they all have people that may be teaching out of certification, out of their area. So we're all in this together.
Right. And you guys were covering some of that in the meeting last night.
Sure.
That there's some of the schools that there's quite a few teachers that are teaching out of their area.
Teaching out of field.
May not have certification. So
Right.
It's a huge shortage. We only got a couple minutes here, and we're not even going to get to the school improvement planning that I wanted to. So you had offered you need to do this more often. So I'm going to take you up on it, Dr. Millay. We're going to make sure you come back here right after the first of the year. I'll reach out to your wonderful assistant, Diane, and see if we can schedule another time. But, something with the charter schools in the area, there's another one that is going to be built out in Indiantown. And I think it's an exciting one. It's kind of
learning more about that. That's not necessarily within our purview. But that's what my understanding is. There's a benefactor out there that is working with RSC, and I heard the county is involved a bit with land, so they're trying to work together to look at a charter. So that'll be more forthcoming. I don't have a lot of information on that because some of the work's going on behind the scenes, but I can tell you quickly on that school improvement, I want all of our parents to know I have a very growth mindset. So I look at all the improvement plans of every school. I don't care if they're high performing, if you're an A, all kids can grow. So every one of our schools, we're looking at their improvement plans, ways we can help them grow. I sit down with like an hour and a half meeting with our staff, with our principals, to see how we can support them, some of the different challenges they have, how we're being consistent. So we're always talking about a growth mindset, and I'm very concerned about making sure our lowest percentile is moving up, and then how we can try to increase overall, say by 5% to improve.
I definitely want to talk about that more. And when you come back into the studio, so important, especially with COVID, I'm sure that puts some other kids behind the curve. But we're at the end of our hour. Thank you, Dr. Millay. Next week, be sure to tune in. I'm going to have Robert Restino in the studio, and he's going to be talking about surfing on the internet without being censored, and a lot of good information there, and a lot of good browsers that are out there besides Google. So I'll see you next Wednesday, 10 a.m. Thank you, Dr. Millay.
Thank you.